Hi, and welcome back. We're going to carry on the journey through Celtic Advent and considering the second coming of Jesus, which is Jesus coming in us. We see numerous stories in the Bible of people being raised from the dead. So this whole concept of being raised from death to life is quite important in the Christian faith, of course. And the resurrection power isn't necessarily just talking about something that happens at the end of time when we would believe that our bodies are raised again and we will live with God for all of eternity. But there's something about resurrection power that can happen in us all the time. The Celtic saints would believe this fairly strongly, and Samson, great name, was one of those Celtic saints who took the whole idea of the resurrection power of God living inside of us to be quite a literal thing, and they would believe quite easily that this kind of resurrection power can manifest itself not only in us living fully and wholly, but actually showing up in raising people from the dead. Samson trained under Ichted. We've spent a little bit of time looking at Ichted, and he ended up travelling around Wales and Cornwall, the Channel Islands and Brittany, and ended up being called Samson of Dol being in Brittany, although this particular story is when he was travelling through Cornwall. He was travelling through a region of Cornwall and had an interaction with some of the locals there, and then they weren't necessarily agreeing with him. He was trying to introduce them to Jesus and take them away from some of their pagan worship, actually. And at the time when they were having a bit of a debate, a young boy rode through on a horse. The horse was scared because of the people, and threw the young boy. And when the boy landed, he landed very awkwardly and broke his neck and unfortunately died on the spot. Samson saw this as an incredible opportunity to prove to those locals that there was a God in heaven that they really could believe in. And so he did a bit of a deal with them and said, well, if I raise back to life this young boy, I'll prove to you that your idols, your pagan idols, can do nothing for him, but I'll show you the kind of power that Jesus has in raising this boy from death to life again. And if that happens, will you give up with your pagan idol worship? They thought it was a reasonable deal, so they agreed. Samson then stayed with that young boy and prayed for the next 2 hours. It's interesting. Sometimes you need to be really persistent and not give up in praying. And I think we probably give up too quickly, and maybe don't see the results that we could see. But he really believed that God was going to do something. Continued for 2 hours, and after 2 hours, sure enough, the young boy was raised back to life again. And when Samson presented him to the people in the village there, they were all amazed, as you can imagine, and every person to a man decided that they would now get rid of their pagan idols and follow Jesus. Incredible story, eh? There are some more recent stories as well of people raising people from the dead. Let's have a moment of quiet contemplation. Christ rose from the dead himself. The power of his resurrection can dwell in you. What does that mean? How might that impact your life right now? What might tomorrow look like? differently if we fully lived in the power that's living or could live inside of us? How will it affect us on a daily basis? Let's just think about those things for a moment. Today's reading is from Romans 8. If the Spirit of him who raised Christ from the dead dwells in you, he who raised Christ from the dead will give life to your mortal bodies also through his Spirit that dwells in you. After that amazing thought, let's have a simple prayer. Risen Christ, living within me, may I know the power of your life moving through me. May the resurrection power which raised you from the dead raise me from the death which can so often take over my soul. Not only this, but may I know that power flowing through me in the days of my living.